Right. So welcome to Poetricity Live. This actually is the last in the current series for the framework called Create. Um, Potentially we're going to move on to another framework called Flow, which kind of works very well with Create because Flow actually forms part of the latter part of this particular framework. And just to kind of be in the last one, just want to put in the room kind of what we've been going through. So the Create framework is about creativity, but not just creativity in the way of art or something like that, or poetry or things like that, but more even just creating the kind of life that you want to live and want to experience. How much agency do we have in that regard? And what way can we position ourselves so that we can make the most of the opportunity of the life we have? And the creator, just go through it. It talks about conduit of creation that you are. The idea being that if you see yourself as a conduit of creation, that creates a space for more creativity to come through. And we're talking more here about this idea of the being open to intuition and inspiration that doesn't come from your logical brain. And that really opens you up. Realizing your limitless potential. In other words, there's all sorts of possibilities available to you. Don't just see yourself as one thing. And if we went through, as we went through the space framework, we realized that our true essence is much deeper and allows us to be able to actually adopt different kind of ways of being in the world. That means that, so much is possible. So it's just opening up that sense of possibility and not being closed-minded is the idea there. Then the E is about experiment often. So again, the brain tends to want to get all the answers and try and predict all the future before it moves. The idea here is, you get an inspiration for something to try it. And as you're trying it and doing it, you will discover more things unfold and more things that unfold, the more you discover. So again, don't, just try little things and keep trying, and it builds and builds and builds. And before you know it, you look back and realize, wow, look what I'm able to achieve. And you didn't think you could do that when you started. But if you didn't start, you would never get to that point. So that's just the idea there. The A stands for access your creative flow. And that's believing that there is a creative flow available to you. And that at any point, if you're open, centered, and grounded and present in the present moment, you can access that creative flow. The other is the T is to transcend your fears, because there will always be concerns. You're trying something new, you're trying to put yourself out there. There might be fears that stop you from doing that. But again, don't let fear stop you. Fear is there to help you consider all the aspects of it, take any mitigation steps you might need to take, but go ahead anyway, because if we never go beyond what we're afraid of, we never get to experience new things. And we're stuck in just the same things that we've known. Here's the other interesting thing: the things that you now know you once were afraid to do. So again, if you've never stepped over fear, you never would grow and develop. And E is to express your full self. So that is just to really not be inhibited, but really go full out, really give it your all. So that is the Create framework as we have it. So let us now look at, these are the remaining poems here. I'm just trying to see which one we should go with first. Let's go with brainstorming first, because I think that's an interesting one, just as a tidy up to some of the other bits that we've looked at. So I'll read it. Brainstorming. Brainstorming, thunder striking, light flashing, ideas raining, some landing, others evaporating, always changing. When interacting, birthing from storming. I'll read it again. Brainstorming. Brainstorming, thunder striking, light flashing, ideas raining, some landing, others evaporating, always changing. When interacting, birthing from storming.
I get from that, I really appreciate when you say always changing when interacting, because sometimes when I'm doing, I have this great idea,
Mm.
And I go, wow, that's really fantastic. But then you realize that idea wasn't as good as you thought it would be.
Yeah.
And then from that first one, other things develop from it that you can better utilize. So you give credit to the first thought, those first things, because without them, you wouldn't have arrived at the conclusion that you ultimately end up with in the first place.
I love that. I really love that. Yeah, that really speaks in there, doesn't it? And it's that openness to not be disappointed, because you could be lost in the energy of disappointment. Oh, I thought that was such a good, blah, blah. But to be able to recognize, actually, no, okay, that might not be that, but it's opened the door to this. I
Mm.
love that. Hi, Muriel. Anything else in the room? Muriel, I'm going to post this back in because I think the chat doesn't work when you join after something's been posted. Anything from you, Claudette, on that one?
Yeah, this is, I mean, this reminds me when I used to do a lot of, when I used to sit and do a lot of writing,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd have all these ideas and everything coming up, and I'd be writing and doing all my spider webs and trying to control and contain all the thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the more I try to contain and control the thoughts, sometimes I shut down my own creativity.
Mm.
So sometimes I've learned to just let the thoughts just flow and not try to always capture them, because they will come back around, and I just trust that they will, and I just go with what's going through me at the present, rather than trying to capture everything.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, I love what you're bringing out here. It's that it's the space within which ideas just percolate and come. And again, it goes back to what we're talking about being a conduit. When you're a conduit, you don't have to try and control, but just be open to receive what's coming through. And there will be kind of an energetic connection with you where certain things will just resonate deeper and more. And you just capture those and don't worry about what use they'll be later on or not. Just capture it. Just capture them. Just capture them. And then when you go back to them, again, going to what Phil was saying earlier, then you begin to see things evolving as you begin to interact with them. But it's that if you don't try and control things, I just find it gives you more of this open, lovely space in which to just interact with what's coming there. Anybody else on this one? Hi, Mary's not on audio yet. Hi, Tembofa.
Hi, to be here.
Yeah, that's all right. You're welcome. Hi, Mary. You're on mute, by the way. Um, So we've just done this piece on brainstorming. We're just looking at Muriel, anything come up for you in this one?
I didn't see it. I was late coming in. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I've just reposted it. Okay, but for the benefit of, because we had 3 people join, I'll read it again just one more time in case something does come up for you who've just joined us. So this is called brainstorming. Brainstorming, thunder striking, light flashing, ideas raining, some landing, others evaporating, always changing, when interacting, birthing, storming. Actually, Claudette, what you were talking about there was like some of the ideas evaporate. That's kind of what
Okay.
some of them evaporate and then some stick. Anything else from anyone else on this one before we look at something else?
Frank, I have one more, if you don't
Yeah,
mind.
of course. That's what
Uh,
we're here for.
no, sometimes, this has happened a lot in my life. I have those great ideas about
Mm-hmm.
something that I really want to do, or something, one of those bucket list things that I've always wanted to try. And I've tried it, and I found out for whatever reason it didn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
And I take that as just a lesson to learn,
Mm.
because I wasn't wrong in doing something. Like I always wanted to learn how to weave, you know, so I took a weaving class. Long story short, I had a great time and I learned a lot of things, but weaving is extremely intense, labor intensive, and it takes up a lot of time. So I said, well, I did it. I understand it. I enjoyed it, but I realized that I wasn't willing to commit the time and effort to actually get an expense and at actually getting good at it. But I put that aside, but now I have that knowledge. I know, I'm satisfied, I'm happy. It's no longer something that's out there that I want to do or something that I did and I was extremely disappointed in the result. It was, I just learned that I wanted to do other things instead of putting my time in that particular endeavor.
Yeah, thank you very much for that, actually. And that really takes us back to that piece, the ealise experiment often. That's kind of, it came and kind of, rather than living in, oh, whatever, you experimented with it. You kind of
Exactly.
engaged with it. And then you kind of go, okay, I see. I've learned that, and who knows what's stuck in your brain from doing all of that and where that would be transferable. Nobody knows. But you've given that experience space to breathe, and you've concluded
Exactly.
that, yeah, I'm not really there for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, it actually reminds me when I professionally, when I was in tech, I wanted to be a programmer actually, because I used to enjoy the idea of creating a program and then running the program and see it produce results. So, you know, but then I experimented. So I went, they gave me opportunity to write a program, blah, blah, blah. It took me forever to write it. It took so much time. It just wouldn't be economically viable to have me as a programmer. So I stuck with technical support. But what was interesting was, though, those skills that I learned, later on, I was able to use them in my own personal life to do my accounting system, and it saved me, God knows how many times, much it saved me, but it wouldn't work as my job. And I also used it to improve some of the other projects I work on where we could automate things and stuff like that. So you just never know. So you engage with it and then, sit with it and move on. And it might come in handy in other ways later. It might not, but at least you've had that experience. Thanks for sharing that.
Thank you.
Can I
Anybody
say?
else on brainstorming?
Can I just say something, Frank? I think
Yeah, of
sometimes
course you will, my dear.
I find timing
Yeah.
also plays a role in, well, for me anyway. Because
Mm,
I remember years ago I got this urge to do a piece of writing,
mm,
and it was going really well, but my life was full of so many things that it kind of fell by the wayside.
mm,
And it used to flow through my mind. Go back to that piece of writing that you were doing, Claudette. Go back to it. But I never did go back to it. And I've left it for years. And it's only in the last couple of weeks now, years after, that writing has becoming attractive to me again.
mm.
So I've not gone back to what I was writing. And another idea of what I should write about, and I think this is the right idea to write about, has now come to me.
Mm.
So I've started to do that. And rather than just write, what I do, I just stay in the, whenever I feel to write, I just pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever I don't feel that I should be writing, I stop and I leave it and I just keep going back. But I more feel that the timing for me to write is now rather than it was then. But I think because I started doing it then, it made me feel more confident that I can do it.
Yeah, I hear you then.
So I
I
think
really do.
so I think sometimes timing of things.
Yeah. No, I hear you then. And I've had several experiences as well where it's kind of like I get introduced to something, I dabble into it, and then kind of leave it for a while, and then later on come back to it. I mean, poetry is the same thing. I wrote quite a bit of poetry when I was journaling about my journey into grace and that kind of line of looking at Christianity because I was a fundamentalist Christian before. And it's very interesting. After a while, it stopped for years. And only when I went back into coaching that it came back up again. And then, you know, I started to And now I'm, you know, kind of doing it. I can't imagine not doing it now. Whereas then it kind of like just, so yeah, you're right. These things come into our lives. Sometimes they prime us. Sometimes they create a foundation, and then later on something comes and just comes and builds on top of that. So I'm a strong believer that no experience is wasted. That's kind of how I see it.
Yeah.
So and that's why I really want to encourage people to be open to whatever is showing up for them and give it expression, even though logically it may not make sense in the timing and in the, but because later on you'll come to discover where it fits and why it makes sense. Yeah. Anybody else on this before we move on to something else?
No, I was just writing down after Phil shared about the weaving. Nothing is wasted. It will be
Great.
true. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks. Okay. So I'm going to share the next piece. This one is called Asleep, and see what you make of it. Because, oh, sorry, I don't know what happened there. Let's try that again, shall we? Right, that's better. Asleep. It happened while you were asleep. Were you aware? If you were not aware, did you actually experience it? If there was no experience, did it really happen? If it did not happen, does it really matter? If it doesn't actually matter, how much did you miss while you were asleep? I'll read it again. It happened while you were asleep. Were you aware? If you were not aware, did you actually experience it? If there was no experience, did it really happen? If it did not happen, does it really matter? If it doesn't actually matter, how much did you miss while you were asleep? Mary is giving us a good bout of laughter and smiles there. Can you share what's amusing you on this one then, Mary?
Oh my God. Frank, you know me very well. And you know me well enough to know I don't hide how I feel. And when you were talking about this, saying it loud, I could laugh because I've been there. And when you're sleeping and there are some things happening in your life, or when you do ask questions about why are you in this season? Why is this happening to you in this season? And while you are asleep, something comes out to give you the foundation of why you're going through it. And it's happened to me, and I've had to question myself that why am I trying to blame everyone for what is happening because of what I had in my sleep? And it got to a stage about 6 months later, I was like, it became depression. And I started thinking about it, that I can't go on like this. I have to confront that has been revealed to me in my sleep, which I did. And luckily for me, it was true. Even what happened to me, those people, I'm going to see them tomorrow. Yeah. And I've seen them once, one of them, the elderly one, I'm going to see him tomorrow in a 60th birthday party. And this week has been like a reflection of how I'm going to deal with that issue when I come across them. But luckily for me, in this time and space of mine, I was able to get to something, a revelation that just came towards me of speaking back to my little self, that those things were done to. And I got the revelation, I don't know what happened. Maybe I blocked my memory or something. And I didn't remember until when that revelation came in my sleep. And I've been trying to have, when that little girl comes to me, that is still seeking healing, comes to me, I try to say, don't worry. I just shine it off. I ignore it because I don't want to go through what that experience is, even the ones I know about and the ones that I didn't know about. So what I've just decided this week, and I've been so glad that happened to me early this week, that I'm planning seeing them. And it's speaking back to my younger self that trying to reassure my younger self that this world we are in, nobody determines it. You did not ask yourself to be born. Either did you ask yourself what parents you want or what life you want. And by doing that, you know, speaking back to her that she's wonderful, she's beautiful. And now that she has found truth, there is a bigger person that is looking after her now. That she can, you know, she shouldn't be afraid anymore, and just love that everything will work together for her good in the end. And that's the spirit I'm taking back tomorrow, because love is the foundation of everything. If you don't love yourself, you've just disarmed yourself and allow others to be able to have that power to oppress you back. So what I'm going to do tomorrow is bring the fullness of myself into the atmosphere tomorrow and just make the best of it. That is a story we are all telling in life. This is my own story, and I should be happy with that story, because at the end of it, it will work well for me.
Wow. That's a powerful share. Thank you very much for sharing.
Yeah. So that's why, thank you for saying that. I just didn't want to talk today. But when I said, let me just share it, because you never know.
No, it's a powerful share. It's a powerful share, and just for those who might be wondering what's what. So the thing here is, so if I can understand this properly, is that you had some revelations while you were sleeping, which when you woke up, you had to kind of establish, okay, is this a dream, or is this real? Did this really happen? Then you did your research and investigate and find out actually there was grounds to it. Actually, it did happen.
Yes.
And then you actually went to then address and deal with it.
Yeah.
And then you're also providing healing and support to the younger self of you that actually.
Yes.
Whereas originally you were kind of slightly more dismissive, but you decided to embrace that. Now you have an opportunity to step into an environment where the people who are involved are, and show up as love, and show up not as a victim, but as somebody who's been healed by love and the grace. That's what I'm hearing. And our prayers and wishes are with you tomorrow.
Thank you. I need it.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That's powerful. Anybody else on this one?
Well, I'm just glad to get to sleep, so I guess that's one of the things in my life at my age. But yes, some wonderful experiences, I'm sure, but I don't remember a lot of them. But I think Mary has just shared such a lot to be ourselves. So be yourself and just show the love that you know, and love conquers all.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I can always rely on your sense of humor as well.
That's true.
Anybody else?
This poem reminds me of what happened to me not long after I came out of hospital, and I was on the big early stages of my healing journey. And when I used to go to sleep, I kept seeing, for some reason, flowers and different designs of flowers. And I didn't know what it meant until months after I started. It went from me seeing flowers to me buying flowers to me designing flowers in my house. And I never used to know, I didn't used to look at a book to find the design. Only when I went to sleep, the designs used to come. I used to see them in my sleep. And once I got up and went to my table to create, everything that I saw in my sleep came out in my hands, and I would just design from what I saw in the night or in the early morning. And it led me to design so many different flowers, but it's not something that I planned. It was just something I saw while I was sleeping.
That's powerful. That's powerful, because that is proof of the framework that we're talking about here. That you are a conduit, you're receiving these things and you give expression to them faithfully. And it allows you to create things that even people will go, wow, okay, where did that come from? So it's, because very often I think when we're raised, everything we think has to come through this logical mind. But actually, the logical mind is actually constrictive because it's only based on past data. When you want to create from a place that is people haven't seen before, you want to create from a place that is outside of the known, you need to be completely open to receiving that. And what I'm hearing here is that actually, so we've got sleep being a portal through which people are getting things that lead to their healing. We're also getting sleep being a portal through which people are receiving inspiration from what to create. And it just goes to that there's a stream of consciousness that's beyond the logical brain that is available to us if we're open to tap into, and if we trust it. Because Claudette could receive that and go, what's that? I don't know what that says, and just leave it and do nothing, right? That's a possibility. So it's the opening up to the fact that these things are available, open and trust and give expression. And that's why we are here. That's the divine co-creatorship that we have. It's like you get the inspiration and you are the hands and the feet to kind of give form to it so that it can come out and bless people in this world, right? That's what we're about here. Okay. Anybody else on this?
When Claudette was speaking about the flowers,
Hmm.
it reminds me that they blossom, and that was her growth for healing. She was blossoming as she was, because we know that flowers die, but she was able to recreate them again and again. So she was always able to blossom with hope.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Thanks for sharing that. Okay. Okay, let's try this one. Let's go for this one. This one is called Revealed. Revealed. The universe said to me, be revealed, so others could see what lies beneath. Who is behind the scenes that no one else has seen? Because I won't pull back the screen to see and be seen. I'll read that again. Revealed. The universe said to me, be revealed, so others could see what lies beneath. Who is behind the scenes that no one else has seen? Because I won't pull back the screen to see and be seen. Anything coming up on this one?
What do you mean about the universe?
So that's another word for the divine.
Right.
So you would say God or whatever. It's kind of whatever.
Well, the Lord only knows what's behind the scenes and nature of our lives, but it helps to produce that and to pull the screen back to help others. Well, Lord, help us to do it.
I love that.
I was sorry, go on, Muriel.
Sorry, Claudette. I was only going to say it's a bit like a testimony, isn't it? When we journey through life, the scenes of time change. So, yeah.
I love that. Thanks for sharing that, Mira. Yeah, Claudette, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, it reminds me of, when we first started this years ago, we talked about our true self and our identity.
Yeah.
And to me, this is about revealing your true self, taking off the mask.
Yeah.
Forgetting about being the imposter or the fake person or whatever, and reveal yourself, your core of who you are. Don't be afraid to reveal who you are. Accept and reveal who you are.
Yeah, I love that. Really connected in that. accept, love, then reveal.
Mhm.
And yeah, you're right. Without those, the reveal is a difficult thing. Difficult thing. Anybody else on this?
Okay, let me share about what you just said, identity, revealing where you are.
Mm.
As an African woman, we have tribes where I'm from. And for me, I was brought up by my stepdad, who was from another tribe. And I got to bear his name for so many years. Even though later on I got to know it's not my dad. And because I've been so close to that, it was hard for me to to identify as who I was really. And it took me 50-something years to be able to stand up in my truth, even though I had to lose a lot of people because of that. But I just didn't want to be, I just didn't want to fail myself. Because Earth is only once. I don't know if I do come back again, but this is my only experience. So if I can't come in as who really I am, what's the point of coming here? So identity is the most beautiful thing you can, that gives you that peace that no one can steal from you. So I always say to myself, I'll do anything to come out in who I really am. I'll rather die. I'm prepared to die for what I believe, that this is who I am, and that no one can change that. Just accept who I am. This is what this is me. This is what the creator have created me to be. Okay, events do want to divert it or change it. But once the truth is there, that's why I love you know the truth, and the truth does set you free. And that's the freedom of being who you are when it comes to identity, that we should all embrace it, that allowed each other to flow in spirit and don't prevent each other, because by not allowing others to be in their authenticity, who they really are, is like an oppression. So there is the winning card. Is the winning card on Earth. Being your true self in every areas of your life. People might not understand it. People might question a lot of things, but you just believe in you. And at the end of the day, people might come around, and even if they don't come around, that doesn't change who you really are. And that's what I've done. And that's my jackpot. It's like so it's good to be who you are at the end of the day.
Yeah, I love that, and I love the energy with which you kind of put that in the room, because I could sense that sense of liberation once you embrace.
Yeah, freedom.
Yeah.
Freedom.
Once you embrace that, and the other thing that's interesting about that journey is that this idea that we're always constantly projecting onto other people the reason why we can't do it. So people would think this, people would do that, people would this, that, and then the other, and it's kind of like, okay, this is mine to do. This is mine to stand in my truth.
Yeah.
This is, and then, as you rightfully said, there might be people who can't live with that. There might be people who can't. But is that a price worth paying not to be yourself? Because this is the experience you've guaranteed that you have here. Are you going to not experience that because of what someone else might say, or because of what someone else might?
I've lost a lot. I've lost 80% of my friends. I've lost 80% of my friends, but it's okay. It's okay. They were never my friends. So that's the only gift you can give yourself. That is real who you are, and you can go to bed and be glad that you came to this earth, knowing who you are and allowing yourself to experience it while alive.
I tell you what's also interesting about what you shared there is this idea when you say you lost. Did you say you lost 80% of your friends?
Yes, 80% of my friends.
Right. Here's the interesting thing. So if by showing who you really are, you lost 80% of your friends, who were they actually being friends to? Because it wasn't who you were.
They rather have the old me than the new me.
Right. So then the person that the 20% who are left are relating to is the true you.
Exactly.
And those are your friends because they are being friends to the real you.
Yeah.
because they
And
can't handle
it's what
the you know, they want the original, right?
yeah,
The one and only. That's
yeah,
the one. Yes.
yes. Thank you.
Indeed. Anybody else on this one?
You know the line where it says what lies beneath, who is behind the scene. It
Yeah.
just suggests that something is hidden, something is hiding.
Yeah. Yeah. And and I can
or
speak
or covered up, you know.
covered up. Yeah. And I, you know, I can speak personally to that because I think I kind of had that thing where there's a narrative that, oh, well, if I showed my true self, my full self, maybe some people can't handle it. So then I begin to filter myself, right? So for example, one of my main armors is a serious face. I'm actually a very cheeky person, but most people wouldn't know because you wouldn't experience that part of me unless I know you quite well. You wouldn't. So that's part of my armor. That's part of my, oh well, people can't. And some of the videos I'm doing now, maybe I'm showing some parts of myself, and people will go, "Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that was there. I didn't know that was there." Right? So it's kind of, for me, this is an ongoing journey of being revealed, actually, because I'm beginning to realize that the power of my full self, to bring all of my full gifts into the world, and to connect with all the people I'm meant to connect with, I have to allow all the aspects of myself. I have to make them right. I have to accept them and put them out in the world for it to have the impact it's meant to have. So, yeah, I really do hear that. Yeah. Anybody else on this before we move on?
I agree with you, Frank, because I think part of that is also you're afraid to let people see, to be transparent with people, is because you feel that what you're going to reveal will cause them to do things that will hurt you, either on purpose or inadvertently, so that someone will say, well, why didn't you tell me this before? Or you don't know what people's reactions are going to be. But you get to that point in life, and usually the older you get, the less concerned you are about other people's opinion of you, because you realize it's just their opinion anyway, and it doesn't really affect you materially or emotionally. So a quote I like is, "No one can make you feel inferior without your permission." Yes. So as long as you're happy with yourself, and it may not be easy, but as long as you're saying, well, this is real. If you want to accept me, cool. If you don't, I understand, and that's your right. But this is me. This is authentic.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you very much for sharing that. That definitely is one of the considerations there, isn't it? And the other thing that makes my kind of situation slightly more interesting is that I grew up as a people pleaser. So again, there's that element of, okay, I don't want people to be upset with me or not be happy with how I show up, So subconsciously, that really begins to filter the showing up, because it's kind of like, oh, is this acceptable? Is not acceptable? Will I consider serious enough or not serious enough? What will people think? And the irony is, it's always the opposite. Actually, if you do throw your shoes sell, actually people go, oh, well, actually, it was nice to meet this version of Frank and stuff like that. So it's kind of, yeah, it's amazing how much internal conversations we have that then kind of restrict our ability to show up fully and serve the world fully as well, because there are people who are waiting to connect with the genuine and authentic us that are not getting that experience because of the filtering. So, yeah.
Very good.
Anything else before we go to the next piece? Right. So this one is called Prison. Caught in a prison of my own making, erected with bars of my own design. No obvious way out. The original intent to protect me now conspires to constrain me, hostage to that which was meant to preserve me. Living under the sentence of its blackmail, afraid to reveal its ploy to the world. Thriving only possible through freedom from this persistent tyranny. Reframing this scene to a new reality, where fear no longer terrorizes me,
Amen.
firing up brain cells to mobilize positive energy, signaling the chance to grow instead, getting curious about what triggers me, fact-checking elaborate tales of impending travesty, mitigating true concerns, to feel the fear and press through, to serve the world from a place of liberty. I'll read that again. Prison. Caught in a prison of my own making, erected with bars of my own design, no obvious way out, the original intent to protect me now conspires to constrain me, hostage to that which was meant to preserve me, living under the sentence of its blackmail, afraid to reveal its ploy to the world, thriving only possible through freedom from this persistent tyranny, reframing this scene to a new reality where fear no longer terrorizes me, firing up brain cells to mobilize positive energy, signaling the chance to grow instead, getting curious about what triggers me, fact-checking elaborate tales of impending travesty, mitigating true concerns, to feel the fear and press through, to serve the world from a place of liberty.
Frank, I think this alludes to the previous poem, the previous piece, talking about a prison of my own making, and the original intent was to protect me, now conspires to constrain me. It goes right back to what you were saying before about being transparent. And that screen that was alluded to in the previous piece, it's screen, prison, they have the same meaning. The only thing is a screen obscures you completely. In a prison, you can see part of it. That's the only difference. So, and a screen, you can just move it, but the prison bars are a little bit more, because maybe it could be that personality, or you were talking about that people pleasing persona that you were projecting to everyone for so long. It's hard to break out of those things, especially when you've been using them as your armor for so long. You just, I mean, it is a really conscious effort. So that's what that says to me.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. You hit the nail right on the head. That's why I brought this in after it, just to kind of complete that picture and layer it in that way. Mary, I sense you have something there for us.
I recently called myself someone a rainbow color that has so many layers to our life, right from one age to the other, and that. And I think, as Eve said, life is a process, and you just have to free yourself from those things, cobwebs that have surrounded you in your lifetime. And I've been able to do that. I've done it. I've been an extremist. When I believe in something, I go all for it. So people don't really. People tell me, Udoka, why did you take the difficult side of life? I said, the difficult side of life gives you freedom forever. The other side allows you to postpone it and keep on living in it. So I've had to do it. Even I remember when I came to England, and as I said earlier on, my stepdad was his name, everything. And after a while, I just wanted to set myself free because of what I now know. And people were like telling me, now you have a British passport. Now you have it. Why do you want to go through that difficult? Why don't you just leave it? And you see, the moment I wanted to tell the truth, what now happened is I couldn't say half truth. I have to say the full truth. Do you understand? And when I got to the British something, they were like, a lot of stories happened. And I had to say, yes, that is me, that is me, that is me, that is me, it's me. That is me. But in it, I was able to stand in my own truth, to be the person I was supposed to be. But just because I wanted a better life for myself, I was ready to do and undo to get that better life. And at a particular time, he called me back to pay the price. And I was so grateful. A lot of people said, oh, you will lose this, you will lose that. I said, I'm ready to lose all. So at least I have gone there to say my truth.
I love that.
And I enjoyed a lot of it. A lot of good things came out of it later on. And that's why I'm so happy with myself now that I'm living now. I was dead before in a prison for so many years. Now I've been set free to be who I am, because you cannot be who you are without revealing the truth, the real truth behind that face.
Yeah, object lesson, the curtain was trying to cover your face.
You have to, it's a breeze
I love that, isn't it?
You know, and I just had to refuse it, that no, I don't want this covering anymore. Set me free. I just want me. And people didn't want to. They said, oh, we love you. I said, it has nothing to do with love. It has something to do with me. You can't love me if you are not ready to have the fullness of me. So I was able to do it with the immigration, British, everybody. And they were like, why I told them something. I said I was being deceitful. I'm sorry I was being deceitful. And they said, why would you use that word? And I said, well, you know the truth, but what you have to gain overrides the truth. And I'm sorry. And I think those are the things that, you know, for some of us interesting people like us, I'm praying that some of us do get the opportunity in life to be able to come out in our uniqueness, so that we can be set free and truly live, instead of panicking all the time. Who's going to get me here or there? Yeah.
You know what? I'll call you your real name, Udoka, because you put Mary on the screen, but is it?
No, it's because I don't know how to do my iPhone.
Yeah.
And do you know the meaning of Udoka? Udoka is peace is great. So how can you call yourself peace and you don't have it?
Yeah. No, yeah. No, I get you. I tell you what's really come through in your story, and I think it's something that we can all really live into. And I also want to celebrate you for what you shared, because what you've just described is not easy. Because what we're saying is it would be easier to continue with things as they were.
Yeah, easy.
But the point to which you valued your authenticity and truth to stand in it was such that you were willing to risk all of that.
Yeah.
But in the end, it ended up being not a risk, because truth was more powerful than deceit. And it's interesting, that conversation you had with the immigration services, and they were befuddled. It's like, how does a human being come in here and tell us themselves that they have been deceitful? But also, you didn't just say that, you owned it and said, I am sorry for how I got
of course, yes.
But the power of that, and this is the bit that the brain will never tell you before you do it. It'll tell you not to do it. But what it'll never tell you is that the power of showing up in that way is such that even their normal process that they're meant to follow, they won't be able to follow it, because they'll just be blown away by, really? Someone did that? And
no, but I told them why I came.
Yeah.
I said, there is something that I've just discovered, that it says, I'm not coming here. Left to me, I won't want to. But I want to find out if this really works. That if you know the truth will set you free.
Right.
So that was what I took to them when I was writing. That I want to find out if truly truth set someone free.
Yeah.
And that was how the investigation for over 2 years.
But here you are, right? So the conclusion to that experiment, again, going back to what we're talking about, experiment often, the conclusion to that experiment is that it does.
It does. It does.
It does. It might not be easy, but it does.
No.
Thank you so much for sharing that, being willing to be vulnerable about that. Anybody else on this prison piece? Right. Okay. Let's go for our final piece in this framework, which is almost like a da-da-da-da moment. This is You Brave, Magnificent Beast. And this is inspired by a book by Charlie Mackesy, actually, where the quote is, sometimes just getting up and carrying on is brave and magnificent. So the piece is, there are those days, those dark and dreary days, there seems no reason to awake. The gloom descends and the body consents. What will be the point of getting set? Drawing from wells so deep, filled with courage so true, a reason found for daring to contend, the brave and magnificent find the strength to arise and face the day ahead. I repeat, you brave, magnificent beast. There are those days, those dark and dreary days. There seems no reason to awake. The gloom descends and the body consents. What will be the point of getting set? Drawing from wells so deep, filled with courage so true, a reason found for daring to contend, the brave and magnificent find the strength to arise and face the day ahead.
I don't know about the brave and magnificent, but it reminds me of my oldest grandson when he was a little boy. He used to want to get up early in the morning when everybody else was, and I mean early, like 6 o'clock in the morning, and he used to fling open the doors and said, "Buddies up, buddies up." And it always reminds me of that. We need to get our buddies up every day, no matter what's going on. And the Elam conference recently had wonderful things on YouTube, the awakening, about awakening ourselves up to, what's going on in the world and sharing ourselves. So yeah, that's what that reminds me of. Bodies up. So let's get our bodies up.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. But again, going back to your opening comment, the point here is to celebrate the things we take for granted, that because you could have just surrendered to everything that's happening, but you get up and see, what can we make of this day? How can I be part of this day and be in the world today? And that we should not discount. We should celebrate ourselves for doing that. And that's the whole point of that word, brave and magnificent. Because some people don't. Some people literally sheets down, just can't face the day, and that's it.
Yeah.
So that we're here, we're talking to each other, we're engaging and interacting, then we should celebrate ourselves for being up this day. Anybody else?
Well, I'm hoping to get some of that joy that Mary seems to have.
It's all right. She's already spreading it, right? It's the joy of freedom. Anybody else?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna claim that title, you brave and magnificent beast, for myself. Okay. Right? Because after what I've been through the last 2 years, right? And have, with all the changes that's happened to me through illness that I couldn't never predict or even imagine would have happened to me. And one of the things is about that getting up in the morning to face the day. When you have to get up in the morning to face a day where you don't even know how your day is going to be, where you have issues, medical issues, physical, emotional, social issues, that's telling you, stay in your bed. You're better off just staying there. And when you have to fight those negative thoughts in your mind and will yourself to say, you know what? Things have changed, but I'm still alive. And I still got something to get up for. I've still got people who want to see me. It's not just about me, it's about all the other people in my life. I have to get up and show up. And I will do whatever I can do for that day, and that will be good enough. And that's how I've had to face every day until I've come to the point where I am now.
Amen. Good. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I really want to take that in, because people may not really understand the gravity of what you're sharing. Yeah. Excuse me while I just take that in.
Well done. Well done.
Mm. Yes, Claudette. I celebrate you as a brave and magnificent person.
Yeah.
I really do.
You too.
Really do.
Well done.
Because for
Thank
those
you.
who know the true extent of what you've been through, yes, you are right. Show up day after day. And I love what you say about whatever it is that you get to do that day. It will be enough. It will be enough. And the inspiration that you are to other people. I remember you sharing that you're now actually going in and helping other people who experience what you've experienced to show them that there is life after. So not only are you a brave and magnificent person, you're helping other people discover that they are brave and magnificent and they can get up and face the day. Wow, that's powerful. That's powerful. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
Wow, what an hour that has been. I mean, I just want everyone to appreciate how none of this would really be as powerful as it is if you're not willing to step in and share who you are, share your stories. And in an ironic, cyclical kind of way, that has been today's topic. It's about how the impact of you showing up fully as yourself and being willing to be vulnerable and willing to be who you are. And by all of you doing that today has made this session so much more powerful, not just for us here, but think about all the people who are going to go and watch this and really connect to your stories and recognize that they can draw hope and joy and peace and everything else that's there. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here fully and sharing yourselves completely. And I'm learning so much from that myself about how to continue to be revealed. And so just quickly, if I just go around and just tell me one main thing that you're taking from today, yeah, what is the one main thing you're taking for today? Claudette, I'm going to start with you.
The power of share. Oh, am I on? The power of sharing your story, because it's almost liberating to the one who's actually doing the sharing.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Udoka, you're next on my screen. What are you taking from today?
It's just enjoy now. Celebrate yourself now.
I love that. I love that. And you know why I love that even more? Last night, there was a guy who was sharing, and he said, happiness is enjoying the unfolding of every moment. That's beautiful. Thank you.
Just enjoy yourself.
Muriel, what are you taking from today?
I'm taking hope. I'm taking it's a new day and thanking God for each new day.
Amen.
Beautiful.
Amen.
Thank you so much.
Thanking God that His grace and mercies are new every morning.
Amen.
Every morning is a new opportunity. Phil, what are you taking from today?
Be your authentic self, because you never know how by being your authentic self, you may be helping someone else.
I love that. And not just the point, but the way you kind of just really strung that together. Almost poetic, Phil. Almost poetic, Phil. I'll get you to do some writing for us.
That's at the feet of the master.
Very funny.
At every moment of your life to be your true self, be authentic. That should be the identity.
Well, thank you, everyone. And whatever you're doing with the rest of your day, have a beautiful, beautiful long weekend as we have in the UK here. All right.
Bye.